Good morning and welcome to Business Today. Nigeria is Africa's most populous nation and the powerhouse of potential is grappling with a deepening poverty price crisis. And according to the World Bank's latest Nigeria Development Update, a staggering 139 million Nigerians, and that is 61% of the population, are now living below the poverty line in 2025, up sharply from 81 million in 2019. And despite bold economic reforms like fuel subsidy removal and currency unification, high food inflation, weak job creation, and external shocks like climate change and insecurity have pushed millions further into hardship. Beyond income, the World Bank emphasizes multidimensional poverty, health, education, and living standards, painting a fuller picture of families unable to access basic. All right, thank you for joining us. We'll be taking a look at the World Bank numbers, the World Bank report on the poverty burden in Nigeria, and it recently estimated Nigeria's poverty population at 139 million, attributing the increase to government.
The high cost is really biting into the income of average Nigerians. So it will fit well to report what the reality is than statistics that show. But even with that, we look around, multidimensional, national poverty, youth poverty, people being underemployed and whatever, you discover that Nigerians are feeling the heat more than what the federal governments are reporting. It's saddening. If you get to rural areas, you understand what this World Bank report has just captured. You see that it has captured it even better than the federal government, who should be doing most of the work.
All right, now, Mr. Akilolu, why do you agree with the World Bank report? I am saying this based on the fact that on the way we do things in Nigeria, especially we're not having reliable data, even that of the country's population. Why do you agree with that of the World Bank?
Well, I want to, because in 24, right, when this government decided to remove subsidy, fuel subsidy. Don't forget that this Nigeria is a nation that is dependent on oil, and oil seems to have an influence on majority of our life here. And when that decision was made with little or no provision to cushion the effects and all that, was whatever happened after subsidy was a reactive approach by the government when they saw the impact on people and all that. The impact became very gory, became very bad. Everybody felt it. Even people who were believed to be high income earners suddenly had it bad. It is a country where we still have people who receive less than 30,000 naira as their monthly wages and all that. So I would, on that ground, want to believe with they want to side with the World Bank. Again, if you look at the inflation, our inflation rate, it has more than doubled in about 5 years. It's about 30% or so currently. So with that and the high cost of living, you might want to have pity with what the World Bank reported. Again, if you look at insecurity, people in the rural area, one of the major and the known way of their income is agriculture. And well, in places like Tamfara, Benue, Plateau, where it has been an ending crisis, insecurity challenges and all that, and even very close to us here in to Tagbolu, there were reports last week or upper week, and you know these things are found everywhere, and if these people or these persons cannot go to their farm, you know, where do you expect them to make income? You know, so if they are reporting that the number has jacked up from it's 1 million to about 130 something million, which some of us believe could be even be higher than that. You know, we won't want to argue with that because that means predominantly areas where these insecurities are and their farmers will not be able to go to their farm, will not be making income. You know, if you look at the lack of the number of children out of school, ability to assess quality health care. You know, for people who buy antibiotics, who buy medicines, they will be able to tell the double the you know the prices now are doubled or if not triple in some cases. Then you might want to wonder what are the alternatives they have to this medicine. I'm not even talking about Tradio now, but then if we focus on buying medicine, and that's doubled this much, then you want to believe that there is a problem with having quality health care. Child nutrition. If you go to the market, ask an average person the prices of these proteins you get in the market, of food, of beans, of meat, of fish. These things are high now. So if you don't want to agree with them, the impact on human infrastructure is not telling. It's not telling. And so you might just want to believe that because what they are. Are we talking about clean water and sanitation? You know, how many people have access to clean water? If we look at those things and look at the disparity between rural and urban lifestyle, then you might want to say the World Bank report, coupled with the reality on ground, are nothing far from the truth.
All right, now, Mr. Akinlolu, the presidency has refuted the World Bank's report, while Financial Minister Wale Edu claims the federal government is taking significant action. What is your perspective on this response on the minister's assertion of substantial government efforts? Is this a reflection of effort not yet visible or quantifiable?
Well, we must give kudos to the current administration. They are wonderful policies that we've seen, you know, and as a patriotic Nigerian rather, I would only hope and pray that all this policy materializes into moving this country forward and pulling many Nigerians out of the poverty line. Yes, they are wonderful policies, but they are not yet materializing, and we are not yet seeing the effect, you know.
On the people.
Sir?
I said on the people.
Yes, on the people. In reality, we are not yet seeing them. They are good on paper. But we are not yet seeing them. For instance, cash transfer. This is a very good short-term measures at alleviating poverty, especially in rural areas. You know, but unfortunately, at those cash transfers gotten to the rural people, it is believed that, you know, it will help them to adjust to these inflation figures and inflations that they are currently witnessing. Unfortunately, our poor governance and corruption management hadn't made this too much of a good or painted a real picture of what it should achieve. Because you discover that many times, if you have conversations with these rural people, you discover that very few, very few or none, in certain cases, have actually benefited from these cash transfers that we're talking about. You know, there are programs that the government has brought up that are not yet getting to the root of where they should address. So it means that what the government is doing in reality to what it is transmitting to, there's a huge gap. There's a huge gap, which I feel the honourable minister might want to look at. On one hand, you're making a good policy. On the other hand, the implementation reaching a far deep effect on the people, and the people will be able to tell. If things get better, we the people, we know, we will feel it. We go to the same market, we patronize the same hospitals, same schools, same filling stations, and all that. So we'll be able to tell. This is a little bit not having the effect that the honourable minister might think the policies are getting.
Are having. Now let's take a look at the past issues that we have. The economy. We had many critical aspects of the economy that had collapsed. The economy was on the verge of collapse. We had the foreign exchange system, which had broken down. We had the subsidy system, which was draining the economy. And the financing approach led to money printing to support government finances, among other issues that we had in the economy. Now, while not defending the president, he has repeatedly stated that if there were alternative ways to fix this broken economy without causing these problems, he would have chosen them. On your part, are these policies unavoidable?
Well, sometimes I believe the government has to take a tough stance. We have to take tough stance sometimes in order for us to achieve whatever it is we want to achieve. So I want to believe with the federal government on this. But again, when we are making this tough stance, are there ways, are there certain ways for us to go about it? If there are certain ways for us to go about it, why don't we take those measures? For instance, the removal of fuel subsidy was something that we lauded, or something that we had needed, that should have been taken a long time ago. But the federal government, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, took the bull by the horn and was able to face it, square head and all that. But unfortunately, there were alternatives, there was something they were pushing that should have been, put in place.
Before the removal.
I want to say this, considering that, the poverty problem in Nigeria, crisis in Nigeria, isn't just an economic problem. It has a root in governance, it has a root in structural, it has a root in even our moral ways. So these challenges are there. So what I was saying is, if the government wanted to remove subsidy, it could have thought about all those certain measures that would have been imputed, because the effect now is beyond what even the federal government would have imagined when they took that decision. So there are ways to go about it which would have made it easier while still achieving the same policy. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying.
I get you.
The federal government should take these decisions, but there are ways, there are bounds to apply to those decisions to make us feel lighter. Thank God for Dangote Refinery. Thank God for what it's doing now. And in the midst of all of this, where they're having issues with trade union and all that, what is the federal government even doing to make a peace between the
trade unions?
all of those things are still kettle of fish that we should attend to. You know, that we should attend to. So that's why I said it is not just governance. It's not just economic problems. Governance structural is a moral problem that we're facing. Look at, if the federal government indeed wants to take people out of
Poverty.
poverty, like they said, and they are really making frank steps about it. What are we doing about the corruption and the improved governance, transparency? What are we doing about it? You know, there was a case of Betty Edu and all of that happened shortly into this administration, and there were rumors of bringing her back. Has there been anything done? What were the reports? The case just came and faded away like that. And these are mayors that could translate, evidently for people to see that this government is working, that poverty is something we are meeting head on. What are the plans for government to seriously take us out of to seriously do an economic diversification? Because what we see now is just the tax reforms, trying to balance whatever it is that the government is making in revenue collection, and not redistribution of wealth. So that's why I said, if the government indeed wants to push these policies that they're doing, I think they are supposed to be serious and evident moves that makes us to see these things that the Honorable Minister is talking about.
And now the first phase of the economic reform has focused on stabilizing the economy. The macroeconomic environment is acknowledged by the World Bank. In your view, what should be the next phase of these reforms?
All right. Like I said, to give it to the government, we can't take anything away from the beautiful policies that they've rolled out. And we expect that, like I said, there is going to be economic diversification, major look into development of agriculture, manufacturing sector, technology, ICT, tourism. We are blessed. If you look into all of these things, mining. These are areas that could give us good returns, that make us diversify from oil revenue. In 2024, non-oil tax revenue alone was about 61%, if I'm not mistaken. It was over 60%. Let me be straight with that. Over 60%. That shows us that interim we are doing some things right, but we should translate this, because of course, even out of this non-oil tax that we talked about, it still has its legs in oil production. So so if we are serious about diversifying, economic diversification, what are we doing currently in agriculture, in these sectors that I've mentioned, other than oil? It's going to be it's going to be a big solution. Add to the policies of this current government. Try to improve governance and transparency. It's going to go a long way, at helping this government achieve the fight against poverty that we're talking about. Then what else again? I think if the government tries to empower citizens, during the late administration, there was this program called Ease of Doing Business, which really helped a lot of SMEs and MSMEs come up. I think there were some free registration, waiver of a lot of things, but that really didn't materialize. You know why? Because there were no appropriate training. There were no finance. For SMEs now to go to bank and intend to take loans staggering well over 24, 25, tell about percent as return. It's going to be almost very difficult, if not impossible, for this for a small business coming up to take such loan and run with it. So if there are grants, and I think that's where the credo, whatever it is they are bringing up,
comes in.
Yeah, the government are coming up with some beautiful loan financing measures and all that, which I must give to them. But we have not seen anyone translate into, like I said, reality, and once we will see. But there are figures and figures and figures online. But then, if these are there, they are financing for small and middle scale enterprise, MSMEs are being financed, then we can begin to have serious conversations about taking people out of poverty, employing people, job creations. These are the only ways that we can do it. Diversifying our economy, creating a job, being productive. Then we can begin to have serious conversation. Agricultural modernization, insecurity, tackling insecurity. For about 8 months or thereabout, there was a sharp drop on this banditry and kidnapping, whatever, in the northern region of Nigeria. But in the last 2 or 3 months,
we have seen a resurgence again.
It's been a resurgence. So these are actions that are quelling the beautiful policies that the government are putting together, and I think they should be looked into seriously.
All right, now, Mr. Agilolu, because our time is fast spent, and a quick one before you leave the program. Now, the World Bank report forecasts poverty climbing to about 53.4% by 2026, before a potential dip in 2027. Under what scenario might we see an earlier reversal of this?
Yeah. Like I said, our projects are produced based on estimated oil revenues. These revenues have no guarantees. They fluctuate, and once they fluctuate, the shock sometimes, it's up badly, and it affects many of the government's provision for the year and all that. So, if we are serious about the fight against poverty, and government should, with the introduction of this new tax law, well, I don't know if it's going to be transparent as the planet. We'll look for other measures where government can make revenue for now to cushion those effects when they come. It's something that we must plan about, because revenue shortfalls are a big problem. It's even one of the biggest problems that we have on the implementation of our budget in this country. When we have to boom, we spend like we don't care, and then when we have this, then we have a lot of problems. Then inflation pressures should be properly measured, should be properly controlled with appropriate monetary policies and all that. We should plan for inflation pressure. Once we have increase in inflation, then there is a big problem to us. It puts us off balance, and I think this is one way that we should look at if we have to prevent the forecast increase in poverty level that